It's set to be a blockbuster year for the reborn TNA Wrestling. The company has seen several changes already in the new year, with several roster additions, upgraded production, and an overall excitement to the product that hasn't been seen for years. But with all these eyes on them, TNA has to impress, and there's no way to impress more in the wrestling world than with stories. In this video, I look at 5 potential storylines TNA could do throughout the year. So, as I put on my fantasy booker hat, sit back, get comfortable, and enjoy as I give 5 pitches for TNA Wrestling in 2024. Number 5. Gail Kim has one more match. There's no knockout who has had as much of an impact on TNA than Gail Kim. She returned to action last year for Impact 1000 in an 8-woman tag match, and ever since then, the thought of her having one last singles match has been on my mind. She showed she still had what made her special in the ring. She still had it. But who should retire a legend like Gail Kim? Who should put down the greatest knockout in TNA history? And while thinking about it, I feel nobody would benefit more than Giselle Shaw. Giselle is someone TNA has been trying to get to the next level since her arrival. She's great in the ring, has a great character and star presence. I also feel her and Gail Kim would have excellent chemistry in a feud, with Giselle being similar to her former rivals the Beautiful People, with her egotistical show-off style. It would be an excellent way to pass the torch to the future and would ascend Giselle Shaw to levels she's never been before. Number 4. Alan Angels joins Bullet Club. The Bullet Club is one of the most legendary stables in professional wrestling history. Just like every other company in the wrestling world, they've seeded their teeth into TNA, with Chris Bay and Ace Austin both being members of the Devious stable. Expanding the stable's influence in TNA certainly sounds fun, but why Alan Angels? Well, for one, he has the swagger to make it work. His type of character and in-ring style would fit in perfectly with the current members residing in TNA. It would also help elevate him and give him more direction in his career, as being associated with one of TNA's top tag teams in ABC can only be beneficial. The idea of Bullet Club holding all the gold with ABC as tag team champions and Alan Angels as X Division champion is also very appealing to me, and would show to the world that TNA is building up the future of professional wrestling. Number 3. Jonathan Gresham brings Pure Rules to TNA. When Jonathan Gresham first came to TNA, he would bring the Pure Rules format with him, having excellent matches against the likes of Chris Sabin and Steve Macklin. My idea is a bit different. With Gresham turning heel by the end of the Impact era, what if Gresham were to win the X Division Championship and demand every match for the title were to be defended in a Pure Rules match? It would be a very Doug Williams approach, and one that I think would make him one of the more unique and enjoyable wrestlers on the roster. It would fit his character incredibly well too, with Gresham hating the X Division style of wrestling, considering it to be beneath him, and forcing his opponents to fight in a style that no one does better than him on the roster. It's a pitch that shouldn't last too long, as eventually it would start to turn fans off, who would miss the exciting X Division style. But a good few months with the belt fighting under Pure Rules would elevate Gresham to being one of the top heels in the company, and would therefore elevate whoever would defeat him for the title. Number 2. Nick Nemeth wins the TNA World title. Nick Nemeth made his shocking debut at TNA during their first rebranded show, Hard to Kill. His debut has brought insane levels of excitement to TNA, with the social media numbers for his segments being through the roof, and fans watching or keeping up with TNA for the first time just to see what Nemeth does. He's one of the hottest names in the business right now, and certainly the hottest outside of AEW and WWE. To have someone like that be your world champion would definitely be a benefit to TNA. It would have to be towards the second half of the year, as Moose just won the world title, and the stigma of an ex-WWE star as your world champion a few months into joining the company would be present if you were to do so early. But with time, I really feel that Nemeth could move the needle for TNA. He's the biggest name in the company right now, and someone who has a lot of fans who would watch whatever he does. So to put him in a position where he has a rotating cast of top opponents would not only bring eyes on TNA, but whoever he's facing. Number 1. Josh Alexander turns heel. And my final pitch is the heel turn of the walking weapon, Josh Alexander. This would be blockbuster for TNA. He's the face of the company, someone who has set records, won titles, and beat legends throughout his run. But something we haven't seen from the walking weapon since leaving the tag division has been a run as a heel. I think Josh Alexander would absolutely make it work. The vicious style he has in the ring would make you fear for his opponents. He's the final boss of TNA, and making your final boss a bad guy tends to work. If Nemeth were to win the world title, having Alexander go after him with a fresh gimmick as a bad guy looking to defend TNA in his delusional ways against yet another invader taking the world title would be an excellent story. He's done everything he can as a face, and while I do believe he's good enough to make it still work, turning him heel would completely refresh him. And if you think Josh Alexander is brutal as a face, wait until you see what he can do without remorse. He could go around snapping his opponent's legs, dropping them on their heads with the C4 spike, and running through the entire roster until he claims the TNA World Championship. What he never lost. But what do you guys think? Would you like to see any of these stories play out on TV? Do you have your own pitches? Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe if you're interested in content like this, and have a great day.